Hey, what is up, guys? Teacher Keith here. This is my 30th installment in the ongoing series of um, tourism in the Philippines. We continue to look at the southern island of Mindanao, and, and I did want to um, go over some history and security. So, this is a big intro to the section, to this area. And as it is the very second to last island uh, region that Lonely Planet talks about, and it does say, especially in the Davao and the western region called Zamboanga, there is a lot of travel advisories from countries such as England, France, America, and Australia. Okay, so let's go ahead and read what Lonely Planet has to say about the security situation. Mindanao's history diverged early on from that of the rest of the Philippines because of geography, and more specifically, its proximity to the centers of Arab influence. Islam was introduced in the Sulu archipelago in the early 1300s and was soon after brought to Cotabato and the Lanao area. Afterwards, the region was united by the Sultanate and most of the population converted to Islam. Okay. When the Spaniards arrived in 1527, they were only able to establish outposts in northern Mindanao and Zamboanga. It was only in the middle of the 19th century that the Spaniards were able to make substantial inroads in Mindanao and assert their sovereignty. The U.S. became the next colonial power in 1898. But its presence in Mindanao wasn't felt for years, and it wasn't until a decade or so later that the province was formally incorporated as an administrative region under the rule of Manila. Okay, from the beginning, the rights of tribal minority groups and traditional property rights were violated. The peoples of Mindanao were economically and demographically threatened by the influx of Christian Filipinos from the north, who were encouraged by the government to settle in less populated Mindanao. Some argue that the policy simply opened up a sparsely populated region to immigration. And created a more diverse ethnic mix. Others claim that it was the occupation and annexation of their homeland, and armed resistance began to develop in 1960. Soon after, large multinational agricultural companies entered the region en masse, impacting small scale farming and traditional ways of life, regardless of ethnicity or religion. Less militant groups, as well as the communist New People's Army, active in Mindanao, argue that the crux of the conflict is not simply the result of Muslim and Christian populations living together, but the consequence of the exploitation of the island's resources without ensuring that the people see the benefits of development. Well, that is an interesting idea. Okay. In 1976, an agreement was struck with one of the rebel groups, the Moro Islamic National Liberation Front, MNLF, establishing the Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao, ARMM. In 1996, the MNLF was legitimatized as a political group by Manila. Other groups didn't agree that limited autonomy within a federalized system was adequate. Of parentheses, of course, some objected because they weren't considered when divvying up the spoils. As a result, a breakaway group, the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, MILF, was established in 1978. Okay, what next is going to happen? The most radical of the groups was Abu Sayyaf, a small group of former MILF members affiliated with Al-Qaeda and Jama Islamiyah, an Indonesia-based organization. Successive government regimes have tried to assert their control through different means. Marcos tried through a combination of military action and amnesty offers, but it was talks between Cory Aquino and Nur Misuari, the founder of MNLF, that finally led to a reduction in violence in the late 1980s. Unfortunately, most of the outstanding issues were never resolved, and in the late 1990s and early 2000s, violence resumed. Okay, when Benigno Aquino III came to power in 2010, his government immediately began to engage in peace talks in Malaysia with the leader of MILF. However, once again, breakaway groups, dissatisfied with negotiations, brought more violence from both sides. Aquino resisted calls for war, but thousands of civilians were again displaced as a result of air and ground assaults. The summer of 2014, a transitional commission of MILF and Aquino administration members finished drafting the basic Bangsamoro Law, which granted some of the autonomy sought for decades by Muslim leaders. Observers responded with cautious optimism. However, Congress failed to ratify it. The Mama Sapano massacre in January 2015, in which 44 Philippine Special Forces soldiers were killed in a raid to capture the Malaysian bomb maker from a MILF stronghold, buried hopes for a peaceful resolution. Okay, so we actually will stop there, and that was my 30th installment. And yeah, if you would like to give me a thumbs up, give me a like, smash me a subscribe, and we can see you in the next lesson. That is all for now. This is Teacher Keith. Pa'alam, pa'alam.